Today, a somewhat unusual thrift store Bible. Hello everyone. Likely a brief review today of this thrift store Bible. One, because I have only recently acquired it from my local thrift, and two, because the disease which shall not be named has descended upon the moving about household, and my coughing will start up at some point, and my voice will not hold out, despite the application of horehound candy, which I have tucked in my cheek. So this will be brief. What we have here is a translator's translation of the New Testament. Got a maroon cover, kind of made to look like leather. Gold imprint. We have the handing off of the Bible, one person to another. Some type of evergreen Deibler or Deibler. Cummins Works, Ann Arbor, Michigan. A translation that has arisen out of the process of producing a source text of the New Testament for minority languages. 2008, Ellis W. Deibler Jr. 2008, there's the ISBN if you are interested. Table of contents, some few pages of introductory material. What we do in translation is work to try to make certain that the message survives the translation. In field situations, this translated message is then retranslated back into English and then checked with the original. This is a severe test to see that the intended message is clear. Using the understanding that has accrued over many decades of Bible translation work by several of those involved in this translation, and by having several of us check it with the original Greek, we have tried to achieve this goal for a translator's translation. I didn't hold that very well on the screen, but hopefully you saw that. So what is it? It reads like a paraphrase, but is indeed a translation from the Greek using some edition of the UBS Greek text. According to the introductory material here, here's a guide to the formatting. And there's some oddities, excuse me, please, oddities of the formatting I want to draw attention to. Rather than section headings, they have these themes that sums up what's in here. Now you think that's what section headings do? Well, this kind of goes way beyond that. It reads like a paraphrase in that they have not so much simplified the language, but teased out the idioms, as it were. Idioms, as you know, do not translate well. What is a clear expression in one language doesn't translate into anything that makes any sense if you translate it literally word for word into another, or not always. So when you read through this, some of the phraseology seems foreign if you're familiar with the text of the New Testament, because they have had to render it in such a way that when it is retranslated into another language, the original meaning is not lost by using an unfamiliar idiom. We are probably releasing this just after Epiphany. So let us look at a familiar Epiphany text to get a good feel for this. Matthew chapter 2. We see the theme says, after some astrologers saw an unusual star, they traveled westward to find the place where the infant Jesus was. King Herod helped direct them, but then an angel told them not to go back to King Herod. And there's some description in the introductory material that these themes were then useful as a question when asked as a question after the translation into the target language was done and it was read. Would the person hearing that translation be able to answer that question? What is this paragraph about? What happens in there? What are the themes? Anyway, I'll read as much as I can before my voice gives out. Jesus was born in the town of Bethlehem, in the district of Judea, during the time that King Herod the Great ruled there. Sometime after Jesus was born, some men who studied the stars, men who lived in a country east of Judea, came to Jerusalem. They asked people, "Where is the new king of you Jews? We believe that your new king has been born, because we have seen the star that we believe indicated that. We saw it while we were in our country east of here. So we have come to worship him." When King Herod heard what those men were asking, he became worried that this infant might be proclaimed king of the Jews to replace him. The people of the city of Jerusalem also became worried, because they were afraid of what King Herod might do. Then Herod gathered together all the ruling priests and men who taught the people the Jewish laws, and he asked them where the prophets had predicted that the Messiah was to be born. They said to him, "He will be born in Bethlehem, here in Judea, because long ago the prophet Micah wrote this, that God said, 'You who live in Bethlehem in the province of Judah, your town is very important, because a man from your town will become a ruler of my people, the Israelites.'" I'm going to stop there because I can't go on much longer. Excuse me. And you can see that the themes are much more frequent than section headings in your average English translation, I think. But another oddity of the formatting here, before I get too far, let's look at Galatians. I think is the first instance I saw this. I don't know why they choose to do this. It's really strange, and I don't think it's mentioned in the introductory material. At least I didn't come across it yet. I'll put a note if I find something after the fact. But here we are reading Galatians. Sorry, I'll keep this down here. Come to the last chapter of Galatians, and it's this way with several books that has this common feature, where Paul writes something like this: "I am now writing this last part to you in my own handwriting. Notice the large letters with which I am now writing. I am doing this to emphasize the following. Some Jewish believers are trying to force you to perform certain rituals so that other Jews will think highly of them. They are insisting that you be circumcised. They are doing that only so that other Jews will no longer persecute them for proclaiming that God will save us because of our trusting in what Christ accomplished when he died on the cross." So they put in this big script font, really big script font, and it's always tied to this. I, Paul, am now writing this in my own hand. Excuse me. Trying to remember what other books he ended that way. 2 Thessalonians. "Now having taken the pen from my scribe, I, Paul, am sending my greetings to you as I write this part myself." I can't imagine what editorial reason there was for that. It just seems odd. And would that carry over into the target languages translation? I can't imagine why you'd want that. What the point of that is. Just a very curious thing they've added in this. And as I said, it's in several of the epistles that way. Very strange. 2 Corinthians. No, 1 Corinthians. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, 1 Corinthians. "Now I, Paul, having taken the pen from the hand of my secretary, write with my own hand," etc. It's very curious. reading it, it's not poetry. It is not a beautiful, majestic translation, but the purpose of it, I can understand. I mean, there's a reason for that. If homogenizing it down, explaining everything in the most basic language makes it easier to translate into another language where the scripture has not yet been translated. Well, that's a good thing, even if it sounds awkward to our ears used to the the beauty of the King James or the RSV or the Jerusalem Bible or what have you. Neat book. Probably do some more reading in it, but yeah, the language is doesn't roll off the tongue. So interesting find. No idea how this ended up in a thrift store in Mennonite Country, Ohio, but kind of cool. Translator's translation of the New Testament. Deibler or Deibler. You can probably find a copy on the used book market if you so choose. Thanks for bearing with me in this illness edition. Hope to see you here again next time.